Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. The 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, GBV, is an annual international campaign that runs from November 25, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, to December 10th, which is the Human Rights Day. It aims to raise awareness and galvanize action to end all forms of violence against women and girls globally. The theme for this year, which is 2024, is towards 30 years of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, Unite to End Violence Against Women. And we do have a guest in the studio this morning, whom together we'll take a look at where we are at the moment in Nigeria when it concerns the campaign against domestic violence and all forms of gender-based violence against human beings generally, because we now realize that some men and some boys are also now being abused, and we also need to give them a voice to, seek redress as these issues on a daily basis arise. And we have in the studio this morning Dr. Mrs. Margaret Onah Nnang, the Executive Director, Safehaven Development Initiative. Thank you, Dr. Onah, for being here on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Right, let's start this way. We do know that there's a whole lot of campaign against gender-based violence, and on a daily basis it is increasing. But if you take a look at the actions of various NGOs and government, we will use Lagos as a case study because we are here in Lagos. Would you say that these actions are beginning to bear fruits to a great extent, or are we still in that era where people are still shying away from talking about gender-based violence?
I'm going to take it in two ways.
Okay.
Yes, the campaigns are really on the increase. And at the same time, people are still shy to talk about anything violence against gender-based violence.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of things are on the increase.
Okay.
At home, on the streets, in the offices, so many violence. But the people are not willing to talk. Okay. They are not at all. Right. Even when we go out and we tell them, see something, say something. You see they are reluctant. You see a husband is beating a wife in the house. No, the neighbors are not ready to speak up. Okay. And until either the lady is in so much danger, even death, right, then everybody starts running around and trying to find out why, when did this, all that kind of thing
happen.
Still, people are not ready to talk.
Oh, okay. I think that's your phone. You probably need to put it off or put it in silent mode entirely. I hope that is not somebody has seen you on TV and is trying to check whether or not you are the one. Or you can just give it to one of our studio managers there to help you with that. All right, let's continue on this conversation this morning and ask you, and I'll go back to part one of the answer which you gave, and you did say that there's progress.
Yeah, there's a lot of progress.
There's a lot of progress.
Yes.
So it means that we're not where we used to be.
No.
So there's progress. And so how do we ensure that we garner more progress in the journey ahead? Because you've said here, people are still shy to speak out. People are still afraid for the fear of either stigmatization or for the fear of being hurt by the abuser or family members or people in the community. What are the steps that you think we need to take, not only government now, but everybody involved, at ensuring that we get more people to speak out?
Yeah. In the communities, in our communities, people need to be educated more on the process of how, if there is an issue of violence, how they need to report. Okay. I'm the coordinator of Ikeja local government child protection network. Okay. And there are so many abuses of children, but the people are not ready to report. So what we have done now of recent is the stakeholders in the communities.
Okay. When you say stakeholders, who are those stakeholders?
The religious leaders, the CD community development association leaders, the head of departments at the local government secretariat. Okay. We had to mobilize them. We said we want everybody to have knowledge of the pathway of reporting these issues. Okay. Because once everybody's educated and knows what to say, they'll be ready to speak up.
Right.
But when people are not educated, they don't know what to do. And we've told them, don't, because going to the police is going to, maybe people will now start talking or try to harass you. Somebody is dying, you don't keep quiet. Go to the police to report, or the CDAs that are there at the grassroots.
Right.
We have been able to get people there. We gave them our jackets so that they will be known in the community.
Okay.
So that when there's any issue of violence, go and report to them.
Right. Well,
And they will call us.
Dr. Nnang, one of the many issues that a lot of people are facing at the moment is actually from the homes.
Yeah.
Some of those children, their parents, their guardians, their caregivers do not even believe them when they come with to report that they're being abused by someone, either sexually or being harassed by people around them. And they say, shush, you're not allowed to say things like that. So by grassroots education, grassroots awareness, are we also doing the door-to-door campaign at ensuring that parents also have a listening ear to whatever either their girl child or their boy child are saying to them? Is there that relationship in the family that can also make the children want to communicate with their parents?
We discovered that a lot of children are not bold enough to report when a father is molesting a daughter. So what we encourage those girls to do is look for an auntie in the community you can go and talk to if you cannot talk to your mother.
Okay.
Because we saw that some mothers, even when their daughters are trying to tell them that this is what daddy is saying or doing or an uncle is doing, the mothers want to silence them, to say, why should you say that kind of a thing in this family? So we told them, don't tell mommy or daddy. Don't tell mommy or people in the family.
Okay.
Look for an aunt who is not part of the household and go and tell them this is what is happening.
Okay.
And those women, because we have some women like that in the community that we have empowered, that in case any of these children come to report to them, they should be willing to listen
to them
and not go back to them and begin to they don't even go to accuse their parents.
Okay.
No, they shouldn't
don't take
do
the
that.
fight to the house.
No, don't do that.
Come to the network first,
Exactly.
so that at least you'll galvanize
Exactly.
support and then take it. How about the schools? Are they also part of this campaign?
Yes, they are. The schools, in all the local government areas in Lagos State, like I said, we have the Child Protection Network working there, and we are working also with the schools. We go to schools to create awareness. The teachers are part of our network. We have monthly meetings, sometimes quarterly meetings. To every time we are re-educating, retraining people to understand the pathways of reporting these issues, because it is very, very serious.
Okay. So, I mean, in your journey
Yeah.
on this job, I'm sure you've seen cases that, have been quite overwhelming.
Exactly.
Quite unbelievable.
Yes.
Would you like to share with us one of the most heartbreaking stories that you've come across?
Yeah.
And how it was resolved? Or how you're still trying to resolve it?
Exactly.
Because sometimes you don't get to resolve some of these issues. It takes a while.
There's a child of 7. She was 17 just last week.
Okay.
At the age of 8, this girl, the mother left the father to marry another man.
Okay.
And the mother took her to this second marriage.
Okay.
In this second marriage, when the girl was about 10, the stepfather started molesting her, but she never told anybody. The mother now, when she was 14, the mother died.
Wow.
And left her. And in this marriage, the mother had other 3 children there.
Okay.
And she now died and left her with this.
With the other 3 children?
Yes, and her stepfather. Do you know that the stepfather is sleeping with her? The brother of the stepfather is sleeping with her. The husband of the stepfather's sister is sleeping with her. A man on the street is sleeping with her. 4
different people?
Yes.
Just this girl?
This child, she was 17 just last week. Last week she was 17. They've been molesting her all this while. And she stays with that stepfather.
And did the stepfather know about the other 3?
He didn't know. I'll tell you the story. The man did not know. A lady, after the mother died now, the girl was no more in school. So a neighbor now took her to a fashion designer to learn.
To learn.
So when she got there, the woman decided that she wants to keep her in her house. so that she can be doing the learning. While the woman normally gives them a pad to use. But she discovered that for 3 months when the girl was staying there, she had not used her pad. So she called her one morning. Where's your pad? She went and brought it. Why are you not using it? He said, because she had not seen it.
Her period.
Yeah. The woman was like, why? Then she said, let me see you. As she opened up.
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. So the lady that brought her, the seamstress had to call her. Said, this is what has happened. And the lady now had the child. The girl now had a baby boy. And when she had this child, the fashion designer now had to get the police to arrest them.
So it was at that point that she opened up.
Yes.
That 4 different people had molested her.
Exactly.
Was it possible to know the father of that child?
Now, what I am doing right now is, after they took them to the police station, they started begging, and the woman now was afraid that they might kill her and had to release her. Release him. Release him. Okay. But still kept the baby, girl. the two babies now, because she's 17, she's a child. And the child she had is going to be 1 year by December. So that's when they came to call me. I said, no, we are not going to leave this case. You're going to get the police to arrest them, to do DNA tests, so that we know who is the father of this child, so that the person is going to take responsibility.
Has the DNA been conducted?
No, not yet. Because we couldn't even find those men. Where they were before, we could not locate them. They had left.
So now you could find only one person, the stepfather.
Yes.
So the other 3,
we haven't seen them.
Well, so the one that you have found and that baby, at least it will still be okay to get his own test conducted to ascertain whether or not he is the father.
We haven't done it yet.
Of that child. But I mean, this is quite pathetic because for 4 different people to have been molesting that girl. And then she didn't speak out.
She was scared. That's the problem. Because when a child is scared, she's not going to say anything. These are adults, big men, doing this evil to her.
Dr. Nnang, for the benefit of our viewers this morning, and perhaps maybe there's a young person who's watching us this morning and might find herself in such a situation, what would be your charge? Because again, if you had 4 different men molesting one person, I don't know who she feared most of the 4 of them. But perhaps she could have told one, who was her stepfather, that she had 3 other people who were touching her wrongly, or and then maybe perhaps this could have been nipped in the bud at the beginning. But in such a situation, what would have been our best option?
You know, all these people seems to be related. That's the annoying part of it. They are all related. 2 brothers and the in-law.
And an in-law.
Exactly. Is that not the same family? Molesting a little child.
That's quite pathetic. But we do hope that you are able to get to the bottom of this particular story.
I am on it right now.
At least just to... But then is she also receiving some kind of mental evaluation or some kind of, what is it called now? Some kind of trauma care? Because for all your care... I mean, and like you said, she's also a child herself. At 17, if 4 different men could have had advantage of her, this also could be it could have an effect on her in future. Exactly. So is she also going through some kind of therapy, some form of counseling, just to also help her have a better understanding? Because again, she could think that this is what life is really all about, people taking undue advantage, and it's okay for people to behave in that manner. So on the medical side, is she undergoing some kind of therapy?
Yes, the woman, that lady that rescued her, she's still with her. Okay. And the baby, the woman is taking care. And so we ensure that regularly she takes her for mental health education. Okay. And she's actually reciprocated because she's back to school while the woman takes care of the baby. Right. Yeah, so she's back to school.
I just wanted you to share an experience, you know, that we could all relate with. And this one that you shared is one that has even just blown up the ceiling this morning. Again, I'd want us to go back to the family units, because it's very important that, of course, this kind of education, you know, happens in the family. And so we are in an African setting, and we can't take away the fact that you have uncles, aunties living in a community, communal living, and all of that. So, how much of importance is it for us to school our boy child and our girl child on speaking out, no matter how dangerous you might think it is? Because we also know that the abusers always put a snag to these things. They could say, you will die if you speak out. I will kill your parents if you speak out. And so if they're not sure of who to speak with in the community, are you also taking this campaign to the schools? Maybe they could speak to counselors in the schools, or speak to people anonymously, maybe if they don't even want them to know who they are. Are there such initiatives in the local government that you're also looking at?
Yes. Like I said, in the schools we have counselors who we tell the students to ensure that they feel free with to report at any time if there's something like that at home. Yeah. And sincerely, a lot of children are becoming bold to go to counselors to talk to. And we have phone numbers as well, you know, that we give to them to call in case, you know, there are issues like that. And it's been working.
It's been working.
It's been working.
Okay. Again, I will go back to issues around collaboration, because I know that there's a strong network in Lagos, a strong network of caregivers, a strong network of people like you who all work together. And so are there local government by local government that these issues are prevalent? Have we been able to identify in Lagos where you have more of these issues on the high side, or the red flag is in some of those communities? If you'd like to also mention one or two.
Yes, in Munshin area and in Korodu.
Okay.
Those two local governments, we really have a high prevalence of
gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence and even child abuse cases. You know, because like I said, we are a network. And we are on a platform where we are always sharing whenever there's a case. Everybody, you know, we have the rescue team from all the local governments on one platform. So in case there's a problem and you're not able to sort it out, let others come around. So we all work together. So to ensure that whoever is involved, you know, the perpetrator must be arrested and the child or the woman must be rescued.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, emphasis since we started this conversation has been on children. Do we also have experiences with married women where gender-based violence is also the order of the day? And a lot of people also think that it is until you beat somebody that you are inflicting violence, and do not also understand the power of verbal violence on people. Can you also take us through that violence, that verbal violence, where now it is not limited to only the men? Sometimes it is the woman that has the sharp tongue and won't keep quiet. And so can you also take us through issues around verbal violence on either the man or the woman?
Yes. I work with women, widows, sex workers, teenage mothers. And I've many times seen men come to report that their wives beat them up, they show me bruises, and, you know.
Because a lot of people think that women don't beat their husbands.
No. A lot of women are very strong, They
physical?
Yes.
They beat the man to a pulp.
Oh, my God, yes. It's so rampant these days.
Wow.
Yeah, women are not keeping quiet anymore. They are not holding back. So we have a lot of those cases. The men come reporting, and we try to
mediate.
Yes. And the women is like, no, he's not taking care of his responsibilities. He's not bringing in money. And maybe he doesn't come home. So there are issues. So they fight. The women, too, are being violated, are being killed. Killing women is on the increase. Yes, killing women is on the increase.
So when you say killing women, are we talking about perhaps, because you mentioned the fact that you work with sex workers?
Yeah, I do.
Because they're also human.
Exactly.
Even though it's the nature of the work that they do. So when you say killing women, are we talking about the sex workers here, or are we talking about domestic violence, which is leading to death during that kind of fisticuff, or people who, you know, are working and, you know, get killed in the course of their job? So I'd like for you to simplify.
Okay. Both.
Both.
Yeah. domestic violence, yeah, the men are killing the women so much. Sex workers, customers come after their services are killing them because they feel that the sex worker has nobody to speak for them. And they can just beat them up when they demand for their money. I've had so many cases of sex workers. I have an initiative called Ohotudama Women Initiative. That initiative is run by sex workers themselves.
Okay.
Yes, they take care of their human rights. And we train them to let them know that before they became sex workers, they are human beings.
Okay.
And they are women. And so they have rights. So nobody comes and molests you, kills you, and nobody is there for you.
Okay.
We have been able to win some cases.
Oh, wow.
There's this case somewhere at Volkswagen at around Festac,
okay.
where
Ojo
side,
area.
where a man went to a sex worker's place. After he finished and left, the sex worker said she had 5,000 naira under her pillow. That after the customer left, she could not find her money anymore.
So he stole from her?
That was what she said.
Okay.
So she came out now to run after the man and said, I could not find my 5,000 naira anymore. And this guy now came back with two of his friends that let us search the room. While searching the room, they saw a Quran under the pillow. And can you imagine the audacity? The guy said to the woman, you're doing sex work and you're having the Quran. And they said they're beating her. They beat her until they killed her.
Wow.
Yes. And the case was taken to the police. Those guys, they were still I think they are still in police custody because judgment has not been taken
given
yet.
to them. So the fact that they are sex workers does not give people the liberty
at all.
To violate them and then beat them to points where they will get killed. Again, what are some of the things that it's not acceptable in a marriage, and then you think that because you are the husband or you're the wife, irrespective of the weaker vessel, the weaker vessel statements, that is not acceptable when we talk about gender-based violence, because now you've also confirmed that women now beat their husbands. And then men are now also reporting, because initially it was a case of if your wife beat you, just manage in the house and not talk about it.
We told them, don't keep quiet.
Okay, so now men are also coming out and they say it when their wives molest them. But what are you preaching here when it comes to because I mean that's why it is gender-based violence. It is not just about the woman or about the man. And so when there is violence, it is bad, and we cannot condone
at all
that. So can one actually stop issues of violence in the home through mediation? And so what are the things that you preach to forestall violence starting in the first place?
We said husband and wives should respect one another.
Okay.
Husband and wives should love one another. If there's an issue in the family, it's not at that time that both parties are angry that they should start talking about it.
Okay.
If both parties are angry, let one person walk away. By the time you're calm, you come back and you sit down, you ask yourselves, why was that thing happening? Okay. And how do you go forward? And we discovered that a lot of people begin to apply such things. Okay. They don't stay there to fight immediately. When you leave, later you come back and you try to talk, with one another. It's working. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Because we have seen, there were about 3 cases we had like that. And after we told them, the woman, she was the one who was always talking so much. Okay. And when she's talking, the man cannot stand it. He slaps her, you know, and you know what that means, with bruises and all that. So we pleaded with the woman, don't shout at your husband. Okay. Don't shout. And you husband, don't hit back. Okay. You walk away. Walk away, go to your friends. Anyhow, stay. When you know you feel better, come back home. When you come back home, sit down and let the two of you, talk whatever it is. And let's reach a compromise, And we saw it's working.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working.
Right.
A lot of people are beginning to change. Because when they sit down to talk, everything is, maybe you've been bottling up so many things. You're not talking. And one day is that, you've been doing this. That's it. Okay. By the time they now try to talk, we are able to resolve some of those issues. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, this 16 days of activism, it's a yearly event, year in, year out. This event happens, and this is not the only event that happens during the year that we raise awareness on gender-based violence. There's the International Day of the Girl Child. There is the Women's Day. So many days that
Female
we raise day, and then we raise awareness on issues concerning women. I know we started from that point where you said there have been changes. But then what are some of those things that you're looking forward to that we can measure our level of progress by as the year runs by? That you expect that, collaborators will do more. I know you've talked about community engagement, you've talked about more education, more awareness, but also what are the other things that we need to do? Are you also looking at grassroots engagement? Because a lot of people also think that these things happen only in urban centers and not in the grassroots or in the communities. And so are we looking at decentralizing the message?
Yes, we are looking at working more at the grassroots. We need funding to be able to do that. Now the government has been able to put up shelters,
But can there ever be enough?
Exactly. Can there ever be enough? So last week I had the privilege of somewhere in Ifakojaye. I went to work with sex workers. I saw so many young girls with babies, and we were trying to do unsafe abortion campaign, and for them to protect themselves. So I saw these girls, so many of them, and I was like, where are you people staying? And they showed us where they are staying, somewhere around the railway. Beside the railway, they have so many thatch houses or whatever. And I said, is it that the government doesn't know this kind of places there? They say that they are always coming to raid them, and I said, no, these people need awareness. For them to be in that situation. Yes, they are sex workers. Some of them, they don't even know the fathers of the babies. So they're just on the streets with those children. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be. I had to go and report to my Child Protection Network state coordinator. I said, there are so many children on the street with their mothers. We need to do something about this, And she was like, where did I see them? And I was trying to tell her, So we need more of, when we brought them together, I told her about family planning. About 70 of them, 70, within 1 hour.
Already they did the plan.
Yes.
So meaning that awareness is very key.
Very, very.
Very key.
Yeah. People need awareness. They don't know that. They should know what they ought to know, they don't know. So if we go to be telling them what they ought to do, I think there will be a lot of progress.
Okay. Let's quickly go to the theme of this year's celebration. It's been 30 years since the Beijing conference. And this year, the campaign is towards the 30 years of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, Unite to End Violence Against Women. And I'm quickly going to quote the message of the charge d'affaires of the U.S. mission here in Nigeria, Tim Smith, where he said, I'm just going to quote one thing that he said, and then we can link that to this. And it's amazing to know that this does not happen only in Nigeria. And he did say that globally, an estimated 736 million women, nearly 1 in 3 have experienced physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner, non-partner sexual violence, or both, at least once in their lives. In the past year alone, which is this year, 1 in 8 women and girls aged between 15 and 49 has faced intimate partner violence. And so he's saying that this is the time for government, civil society, local communities, and international organizations to come together to foster an environment where gender-based violence is not tolerated and where everyone can live freely and safely. So we come back to this issue. What are some of those things that we need to put in place in our community? You've talked about education, talked about awareness, talked about grassroots mobilization. But again, it doesn't look like, well, there's progress, but then we can't stop there. We need to keep moving. And so is it just about talking to the men and the women themselves? Are we also ensuring that the girl child, the boy child, this education is decentralized so that they can grow up to be better girls and better men and better women?
What we ought to do more is that these adolescents, we should be able to bring adolescents together, both males and females, to train them. Because by the time you give them training, they are going to grow up with this knowledge and mentality of, no, we don't have to be doing these gender violence issues with one another. But if they are not trained, and you leave them like area boys on the streets, of course, they are going to
grow up and continue that kind of lifestyle.
So everything is training. We must continue to campaign in the communities. We must have, even in the churches, in the mosque, that's what we normally do when we, when we have
outreaches or programs.
Yes, we make sure that let these adolescents be part of the programs. Don't think they are children, they are young. No, there's no young person these days.
Right.
Everybody needs knowledge, and once they have knowledge, they are empowered. And once they are empowered, they'll be able to avoid some of these things.
Okay, before we wrap up this conversation this morning, let's also quickly look at people who engage underage children as domestic workers. We have a lot of homes where you find children that should still be taken care of, used as domestic workers. And we have a lot of women who do not take care of these children themselves. What are you advocating for? If you need to get a housekeeper, is there an age range as to what you expect people should take?
Sometimes in February this year, we had a kind of a seminar talking about domestic servants' rights. That the domestic servants still have rights and they shouldn't be treated anyway. And there should be a kind of network whereby even if people want to take children as domestic servants, there's an age, not just any age. Yeah, it's not okay.
So we probably need to peg it to a particular age
And if
range.
you're taking any child to be a domestic servant, that child must be sent to school. You don't just keep the child there
at home.
Yeah. That child either is going to school or is learning a trade. Not at the end, you abandon that child, for one reason or the other. You don't take care of that child, and but while your own children are in school, And again, we said there should be no, people go to the communities to bring
in these children.
Yes. And we discovered some people brought those girls, and like the girls, they make them to get pregnant and they sell the babies, and we saw all those.
The pregnancy scam issue.
Yes, we saw all those things. Yes. And those are women in the cities that are doing those things. So we said we must ensure that in Nigeria we don't have domestic servants
law.
No, we don't have. So we're like, can civil society actually come together and see how we can create something, so that, because in South Africa it's very, very effective, that if we can do something around that, some organizations that were all together were like, I think we need to do something about that. So we are looking towards what to be done, so that there is a strong force backing domestic servants. You don't just treat people anyhow. Yes.
What kind of collaboration do you have with police and security agencies when it comes to issues on domestic violence?
Yeah. We have a very strong collaboration with them, because when we are doing any form of arrest, we must report at the police station with the case, and the police will go with us to wherever the issue is to get the perpetrator arrested before any other thing, because we can't go and arrest.
You can't do that.
Yeah, we cannot do that. We must always get the police involved.
And are they cooperating?
Very, very. Because they are being trained as well. So because of the training, that's why it's good. This training is always good, because everybody is being carried along and they know what they are supposed to do. So once we appear with these issues, they are very ready to move along with us. So it's been working.
Okay. Yeah. So finally, this morning, 16 days of activism, this is day 2. What are some of the things that we expect the rest of the days to help fight on this journey of gender-based violence?
Drug abuse, a lot of women, a lot of girls, into drugs. And we are not consciously looking at them. Yeah, we are not.
It's becoming a problem.
Oh my God. We are not consciously looking at it. mental health of most of those girls. When we went to the brothel to do the outreach, you know, some people, their BP was as high as 180, 200.
And they are still alive.
I'm telling you, I was scared. I had to go to buy drugs that let them just
calm.
Yes.
So these are things that
Yeah.
you know you look forward to
mental health of
ensuring
people. Yeah.
is on the high side.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Mrs. Margaret Onah Nnang, Executive Director, Safehaven Development Initiative. Thank you so much for finding time to be here on the program, and we wish you the very best in your campaign.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
All right.
And I'm always available anytime you want.
All right. That's the much we take on the conversation this morning. It's been an eye-opener, and honestly, things that we've heard this morning, it means that if in your community you also can be a change agent, you also can be that listening ear that somebody can speak to. And parents this morning, mothers, fathers, allow your children to speak to you, be it your boy child or your girl child. Please let them be able to confide in you, and don't shut them down when they need to speak with you. You'll be amazed at the things that children are bottling up inside of them. Thank you so much for watching the conversation on this side of the table. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the program continues.